Welcome to TheEatingCast. I am Chris.
I'm Vincent, and today we're joined by Jake Maali, who is a free-spirited bro, enjoys playing FPS, he likes to travel, and he runs a podcast called Real Talk with Jake, and he's from the south side suburbs of Chicago. He is an American Arab of two Middle Eastern backgrounds, half Palestinian and Lebanese. Welcome.
Welcome, Jake.
Thanks for having me.
So it's our pleasure to have you on. You know, it's definitely a little breath of fresh air with like a lot of like our current podcasts that we've had in terms of like, a lot of just more serious topics and kind of like, more or less like a lot of political topics and everything like that. It's definitely a little breath of fresh air in a sense, to have just more of like a laid back and like a chill, little session with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, just like how, any conversation goes. I mean, I usually tell people the same thing. Like, do you guys get that at all? Like when somebody's like, oh, what's it like when I get on the show or whatever? And the best thing I tell them, honestly, is ever have that really deep conversation that just gets kind of pathetic at like 1 a.m. with all your friends when you're all just like, it's like dead of night and nobody wants to leave. Everybody's just tired. And you have that just ridiculous conversation. That's what it ends up feeling like, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely kind of like, there's situations where it does like kind of like get to that point where it's like we just kind of like just can't stop, talking and like it's just you're so into the conversation and then like, oh shit, an hour passed already or like 2 hours passed and it's just like it just keeps going,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But no, I really like this and I really appreciate you guys having me on and anything you guys want to jump into, I'm so ready for it. This is actually really cool. It's really cool to be on the flip side.
I know. Yeah, so basically for viewers, we're going to talk about just the Middle Eastern culture and just how it was like growing up Arab American, because I don't think we've ever had an Arab American on our show. I mean, I have some friends, but I've never ever sat down with them and like talked about differences and similarities. So this is the first for us.
Oh,
definitely.
That is okay. Now I'm on it. All right.
Hey.
All right. So
Professor Jake.
I guess I can give you guys a pretty cool rundown. So there's a couple things that you got to kind of take into account. One, there's the new generation, which is what I'm in. So this is the millennial generation, right? We're very westernized. And then there's the second generation, basically, which is the one before us, which is our parents. And like you can consider it, I guess, some of our like great aunts and stuff. I mean, maybe want to incorporate grandparents in there because they kind of have that same view. But as long as you know that there's that generation and this one, it'll be very easy to understand a lot of the things that I say. But I guess to really just kind of dive into it, it's interesting because it's just like growing up in any other culture, right? And when I say that, I mean culture. I'm talking about, coming from somewhere that's got a lot of heritage, a lot of tradition, stuff like that. It's going to follow pretty much the same thing. Your family wants you to, stay with, people of your group, when it's time to get married and stuff like that. They want you to look for somebody of that same, they kind of want everything the same, right? They want to stay in that bloodline, stuff like that. You're very cultural, stuff like that, but you also get a ton of the oppressive stuff that nobody really, all that oppressive, like I'm talking, can't do this, can't do that. I mean, and it gets pretty bad because it's like, the big thing about growing up, Middle Eastern, especially, in Chicago, because it's huge. It's a huge city. The millennials are having a huge struggle right now. Everything from our past generation used to work in the older society because there was just less to do. People were different. Times were very different. But now society has taken a huge turn. And the big issue is millennials of any Middle Eastern descent, are having a very hard time blending in. And the reason I say that, and this is prime example number one, how is it okay in today's society, 2020? I don't even want to consider 2020. Let's just go back 2019. 2020 sucks. So 2019, sucks. Yeah, 2020 is crap. 2019 though, how could you grow up in today's society as an adult, right, from the last generation, and tell your son and your daughter, oh, as you grow up, you look at your son, you can go out and do whatever you want, but be careful. And then you look at your daughter and say, oh, you have to stay home. You have to be, obedient, quiet. You can't go out. You gotta, you'll bring shame to the family, stuff like that. And it's like, whoa, what are you doing? How do you just tell, a 15, 16, 17-year-old, 18, 19? I mean, how do you tell a girl in 2019, well, we would love for you to have an education, but we'd rather just have you get married, or we'd rather just have you stay at home and learn to cook and, learn to clean, stuff like that. Like, how do you just trap somebody like that? That's
for this for these parents. What age group is this? Like what year?
So it's this is boomer generation, but
okay, boomer generation.
Boomer generation, but yeah, I mean anybody whose parents like mine, like I'm 27 years old, right? I got lucky. My parents are super American, so I mean they've got culture behind them, but very, very westernized. But this is for anybody whose parents are between like 40 and like 65 or older, right? And then it doesn't matter how far back you go, grandparents, whatever, because that our last generation, like our parents, they're all holding that last final value. Because after them, us as millennials have a completely different view of the world. We want to experience it like we want to experience it like the rest of society. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the disconnect. And that's cool because now I'm talking to you guys who are a different culture. I just have my question is, coming from where your culture is, do you guys have that same kind of lockdown?
Oh, 100%. So Chris and I were both Chinese American, and we have that same pressure, right? But it's in the sense of like the model minority. Don't speak up. Make sure when things are wrong, just stay low. Like just cruise. Like don't put yourself out there. If you want to get a good job, go to school, be a doctor, engineer, lawyer. And if you aren't that, then I mean we won't hate you, but we're kind of disappointed. So we have that pressure on us. And then same idea with the at least for me, the females of the family. It's just like that pressure of you gotta be careful, don't just stay inside, like don't do anything, but boys can go out and play, right? It's still that little disconnect. Yeah.
Right. It's and somebody came on my show and they brought up this incredible like reference. And he came on, he said, I thought about it just like that, and he goes, I think the way that it's perceived is we try in cultured communities, very cultured communities, they want to protect the women. They treat them like a gem, right? They want to keep them, as protected as possible because maybe they see how bad society is as it continues, and they want to try and avoid any kind of bad things happening. A lot of like respect stuff and just anything with like family name, whatever, but. I don't know, man. I'm heavily against that, and I've had multiple people come on my show. I have more to come, and I can't stand how they just like. How do you just tell somebody you can't do it, but then you watch like imagine being a female and watching like your older brother or brothers, whatever. Just watch them go out and do everything they want. Buy a car, buy multiple cars, whatever. Go out, date, enjoy your life, come back, experience life as itself, and then you just kind of watch that. Like that's gonna ruin you as a human being, man.
Yeah. No, I feel that 100%. Right. It's like it's definitely something that's first of all, that's a little like different for us or in particular, but like at the same time, there's still like a lot of similarities, right? Like we're like my sisters aren't forced to stay at home and like learn to cook and do all this stuff and then like get into like an arranged marriage by any means. But like they're still told to, study hard. You can't date anyone, you can't do this, you can't do that. You have to be home by a certain time. Yep. And it's like they're on a very tight schedule in a sense, and it's really kind of sad, because like it's like how, because like, yeah, like just like you, Jake, like I have that freedom, right, to go out, to do my own thing and like, just like hang out with my friends, date whoever I want to date. And it's just like, what happened to, like why is it such a big disparity, right, between me and then them? And then like it all comes down to just like you said, right, just like cultural differences, right? It's like these little tiny differences within our culture, right, where it's like, oh, the daughter has to, like in Asian culture, right, basically the daughter when they marry, pretty much the daughter now has to leave their family in a sense and pretty much live with the husband's family, right? Oh. If that's like a Chinese relationship, right? Like old tradition says that the daughter that marries the eldest son of that family has to move in with the eldest son as part of just customs and everything like that, and they have to take care of the parents. In a sense, like when the time comes, Yeah.
I never knew that. That's pretty cool because over here it's similar, but it's a little different. It's where it's kind of like it's the opposite. It would just be the guy takes care of her and her family. So he becomes a part of her family, but for it to be the other way, that's actually, I think that's a little better in my opinion, because then she kind of gets away and then, it's got its own things, but no, that's pretty cool. I never knew that. I don't know much about a lot of any type of, Asian or Oriental culture. I mean, I have one friend, but he's Korean and it's a little different, and he's American as well. So whenever we try to talk about stuff, he's just like, I don't know. Because like a big disconnect, but no, that's the bad side of it. What I gave you is the controversial, the what's been happening in the last, all of that has been happening basically up until 2013, and then 14 and 15, it's been easing up. But now that you understand the bad side of it, like the whole controversial, like, damn, so like, I never knew growing up in, as, Middle Eastern meant, the women are so oppressed like that. But the cool thing is, and this is where it gets fun, the positive side of it, oh man, is it blowing up. It is breaking down. They are doing everything. When I say they, I mean the women. They're doing everything. They're becoming lawyers. They're going out. They're experiencing life. They're doing everything that they want, man. They are breaking away. And the best part about it is the more of them that break away and keep going. And when I mean break away, I mean they're, making the choice to go to whatever college they want. I'm talking about there's girls that are going out and dorming. There's girls that are going out and studying abroad. They're doing everything, right? And they're mimicking, they're going out and they're buying their own cars. They're getting their own jobs. A lot of them are nurses now and they make, a ton of money. But it's awesome to see how they're just kind of going and doing their thing. And they're just basically, they're just humans at this point. There's no more, look at what she's doing, or, she's trying, she's acting like a man. I hate when they say that so much, like, oh, she's acting like a guy, or stop acting like a man or whatever. Like, that's degrading. That is degrading. Like, how do you just tell that to somebody? Like, so it's really cool to see it just blow up. And I've been bringing as many females as I can, as many women as I can, empowered women on my show, because I'm like, please tell your story. You are an influence. Any little thing that you've done different than the culture, you're a major influence, because not only are you doing it, but all of your friends are doing it, and then their friends are doing it. And man, it's getting awesome. Honestly, being Middle Eastern today, I'm so glad I was born like in the millennial era, because I don't know if I'd survive in the last generation. Being how I am, I don't know if I can do that. I can't just sit by and watch that.
Yeah. Not only that, but it's like we want to take control of our lives, and for us, it's that's a part of the reason why we have this podcast. We want to show people that, Chris and I, we're not going to be doctors. He wants to go into the fire academy. Like, that's breaking away from tradition right there. And most people, when they see that, they're like, oh shit, like if Chris is not going into that white coat, career, then maybe I can too. Like, stuff like that. And for us, it's that sense of breaking the norm and tradition. Yeah. So it's a lot of struggles, and we definitely do get backlash, at least for me. I don't know, Chris, you could speak on your own terms, but I definitely get backlash from being different.
Yeah, I do get backlash too. Like when I first told especially after I got my degree in exercise science and everything like that. And I was like pretty firm on the fact that, I wanted to go down but it could have been like a PT route. It could have been like, something deeper into the, the sports science field, but down that road, just like the people that I met, the people I talked to, and just kind of like seeing people for who they are, and just kind of like just seeing where I'm at and kind of like really experiencing life for myself. I was like, you know what? There's not a lot of like, at least here, right, in Chicago, there's not a lot of like Asian representation within like, the Chicago police force and everything like that. And it's like, you know what? Like there's some, but it's not like, a whole lot, right? It's a really small like niche group. And I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. I get to do what I enjoy, and I get to help other people, which I like to enjoy, which I enjoy as well. And just kind of experience like life that's not really like that along that beaten path for like an Asian male, right? That's supposed to be like, the model minority, right? Like that kind of society labeled us as, and, we're supposed to be that lawyer. We're supposed to be that doctor. We're supposed to be the physician that, you know, helps our family and kind of like really pushes them, or like puts them in like a safe net in a sense. You know, it's kind of like we're their retirement plan, you know.
Right. No, this is huge. I got to ask you guys this now, because this is, I'm tired of asking, you know, the same culture this all the time, but I have to know from your perspective now, aside from the job, you know, aside from the whole picking your industry and the career path choice, do you guys, being, you know, more Americanized, do you guys even, you know, do you guys even enjoy blending in with like the whole traditional stuff and the heritage stuff? Or do you feel like you just don't want it? You got a different taste of, you know, and I blame Instagram. I mean, the things that I see on Instagram and so many other people, like everything I see on Instagram, I can literally just, I'll see a video and it'll just spark me and I'll be like, oh, I want to do that. And then I think in my head, first thing that comes to my head, it's sad, but the first thing that comes to my head is like, man, there's probably like no Arabs that ever do this. Probably like Arabs, you'll never see an Arab do this. Like, it's sad that I have to think like that, but I break off that chain and then I'm just like, I'm going to do it. And I feel like a part of me does it because I don't want to be part of the, you know, I don't want to be, I don't want to be known as that. Like, I just don't want to be known as like a stereotype, you know, like I'm me, I'm a separate entity. I'm like my own thing, you know? And that's why I want to ask you guys, like, do you guys ever just get fed up with like, do you guys want to just be a part of like everything else? You know, you're just tired of being part of your own, I guess, traditions and heritages and stuff?
Yeah. So, kind of, it's like it's a mix for me, just because like there's, just like you, Jake, there's like the good and the bad, right? With like all of our cultures, right, that our parents kind of brought over here. And of course, like our cultures are also going to be like very different. You know, like for instance, like Jake, your family that came over here to the States, they brought a portion of their culture that they enjoyed, right? So in a sense, it's like they took customs and everything like that they really kind of fell in line with, and they want to reinforce those cultures like within their family, right? And that kind of like holds true also to like our family, right? We have bits and pieces that, like, you know, from like more or less like the cultures in China or like Asia, right, where there's certain things that they like and they enjoy, and they want to show that off more in our family. So it's not necessarily like they're taking the entire culture and just forcing it on us. They're nitpicking in a sense.
Oh no, it's different here. Yeah. It's always the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, for me, like, I'm marrying a white girl, so that's like completely out the tradition. Like, for my family, they're like, "What? You're not marrying a Chinese girl? Like, what's going on?" You know. So there was of the 7 years of our relationship, it was that constant battle between the cultures. I mean, now it's a little better, but there was that. And then also like certain traditions, like Chris was saying, like we pick and choose, or our grandparents and parents pick and choose. For example, like when you marry someone, we have a tea ceremony where you just like offer tea to like the elders. And in my head, I'm like, that's cool, I respect that, but it's like, that's not what I want to do. But at the same time, it's that struggle where I want to please my family. I don't want them to hate me. So like, it's one of those, like, I'll do it, but at the same time, I'll keep doing my own thing. And the reason, and we talked about this with someone else, it's like they pick and choose, you know, customs and cultural traditions, and they bring it here because they feel like they've lost something once they're in America. They feel like, oh, I want to stay connected to my roots, so I'm just going to hold on to this. So like one thing that we have, it's like Moon Festival, where we pray, and it's like, oh, the Lunar New Year, the moon is out or something. And I'm like, that's cool, but like, what does that mean for us, right? And my grandma would always tell my mom, like, oh, did you pray today? Did you light incense? And did you open the windows for the moon to shine through? And my mom's like, oh, crap, like, I forgot. Like, you know, stuff like that. Like, it doesn't stick with us. And we're just doing it to please the previous generation.
That falls dead in line. I mean, it's the same. It's literally a mutual feeling. Like, we have the same thing. Instead of tea, you have to serve like really, really high, extremely powerful, like over caffeinated mud coffee in like this tiny little cup. And it's like, I don't want to do this. And they're just like, well, it's not a choice. And it's like, but it is a choice. And it's like, I think everything that you just said literally could be wrapped up in nobody likes change. because they're scared of what will happen once. Everybody's scared that if, and not everybody, we're gonna make this very logical. I think the old generation is just scared to change, because if they even change one little thing, it's almost like that step on a butterfly back in time and destroy the future thing. If they change one little thing, then their kids and their kids' kids, so they're gonna watch their grandkids grow up in a very, like, there's not going to be any guidance. There's not going to be anything for them to fall back on. That's what I think is happening. But remember, you guys have religion, right? You have religion tied to your culture, right? So whatever your culture is, there's a religion tied to it. It's the same thing with us. There's a culture, and I think that the old generation is scared that if they change the culture too much and allow things to allow people to choose and do the things they want, I think they're scared that the next generation will lose too many core values, and they won't have a way to connect back with like their heritage or their bloodline, right? But that's what religion is for. Like, we're very tied with our religion here. So I don't know if you guys are, I don't know, but most Arabs typically will end up, most Middle Eastern people will end up being some form of Islam. There's only one form where people will kind of bridge it and stuff and change things, but Islam is the big religion, right? That's what everybody kind of follows, and I love it. I practice it. I love it. But that's your guide. That's like your guide for you. Like, hey, I have, I don't eat any Arabic food. I don't go to any Arabic weddings. I don't do anything in the Arab world at all. I don't smoke hookah. I don't do anything Arab. You wouldn't even know, like, right? I live a whole different lifestyle. But at the end of the day, I have religion. I can go back and I have that guideline that's gonna kind of keep me going. And it's like, it's not that cultural stuff. So I think it's just they're scared of change, and I don't blame them. I mean, change is crazy. I mean, you make one little thing and you don't know what's gonna happen. Like, if you let,
especially since, like, for both Chris and I, our families, they came to America, and the immigrant story: hustle, start a business, and then put your kids through school. And they're scared of change, because then they're like, oh fuck, like, all my hard work, and now the kids are gonna fail. Like, where did I go wrong, right? And so there's that too, and it always comes down to trying to satisfy what their needs are and then what our needs are. And for me personally, it's always the constant battle of like trying to balance the two. I'm still trying to figure it out, because people are always telling me, bro, like, it's your life, and I know you love your family, you love your parents, but at the end of the day, you need to do what you want to do, So when I changed my major a couple of times in school, for example, my parents would be like, oh, great, like, he's not going to be successful. And they're always chasing money, which is also another issue.
I heard a statistic about that. I read something about that. I forgot where. I don't know if it's Chinese specifically or Asian people are always like, they're very obsessed with wanting to make a lot of money or be successful. Is that true? Is that like a true stereotype thing?
Yeah, because like Chris said, we're the retirement plan, so we're supposed to give back to our families.
I see how it works. Okay, because the next generation takes care of the last one. So if they don't do a good job raising their kids, it's like, okay, wow, that's crazy.
That's pretty much how it's been, like, at least like a cultural pass down, right? It's like, unless you're in that top 1%, of Asia, where you're just a like a
trust fund,
money mongrel, like that, like a trust fund and everything like that. It's like, unless you're like that top like 1%, you're not gonna be, you're not gonna be like having to like not worry about money, right? Just because like Asian families, they tend to be like like pretty big. Like my family over here is like on a smaller scale. Like we have, my immediate family is just like me, my mom, my dad, and then so I'm the only child from my parents' marriage, and they both split off into their own things. So my family's a little bit bigger than a lot of other Asians, where they'll have like 1, 2, maybe 3 other siblings. I'll have like 6 other siblings, so it's like pretty big in that sense, right? So like I have like a pretty big kind of like a net that I kind of gotta drag around and everything like that. So it's like, man, not only am I the retirement plan in a sense for my parents, I'm also like I got to make sure that, my sisters, my brother and everything like that can make it through college and everything.
It's different. It's different from us because here it's almost like reverse. You're like my grandparents, they came here and they came from, 50-50, but my mom's side came from Palestine and they came and he worked they all worked labor jobs with like a ton of overtime, right? And the whole lifestyle back then was like work as much as you can, make as much money as you can to support your family. But like it's different from us because Middle Easterners your grandparents will like work their ass off to build like this. They'll buy businesses, they'll buy property, they'll do whatever they can to have a ton of money. And then they set themselves. And once they're set, like to just live off being, whatever, throughout their old age and just, whatever, the rest of the money goes to their kids for like their opportunities and stuff like that, which is usually paying for like your son's wedding, making sure he's stable. You don't really have to take care of your daughter too much back then because she would get married to a suitable person and he would take care of that person, And that's kind of how it's really interesting because Middle Easterners, so you know how white culture or American culture, we'll call it American culture because I don't know if the rest of the world's like this, but in American culture, you know how the wife or the woman's family will pay for the wedding? It's similar to that, except the guy will do it and his family will help him. So like your grandparents or your parents will do everything they can to like give you a great life and like prepare you to get married and help you pay for that wedding. But a big stigma is Arab guys don't like to get married until like they're 30 years old because they want to save up a ton of, they're kind of just repeating the process, just like their parents, save up a ton of money, be deep into their career. And then, it gets weird because they go looking for like a 19-year-old girl or a 20-year-old girl. Every time. It's very weird. But it's changing now. People are doing things different. But it's a reverse of what you guys have. It's kind of like you have to be the one that gets like set for yourself first. And then you save all the rest of your money for your kids. And then they go off and do their own thing. And like you kind of just sit back as like, you just kind of live throughout your old days. And it's like, you're comfortable because your kids did everything they could and they kind of took off. So it's a bit different, but that's crazy.
So is it safe, real quick, to say like if you're Middle Eastern, just say you're Arab?
Kind of. We actually just had this conversation. It's very complicated. It's a complex system because, so to answer your question directly, I don't honestly know because what does it mean to be Arab? That's the thing. It's like a geometry proof, right? Like, all Arabs are from the Middle East. Like,
oh God, I forgot about geometry proofs.
Yeah, right. Sorry about that. I
triggered.
I kind of. It's weird. It's very weird. We were talking about this because I was telling people, I'm like, I'm American, right? I'm American first, and I guess I'm Arab second. And then he's like, no, you're Arab first, like because your bloodline. I'm like, but I was born here. He's like, but your origin. I'm like, but my origin is here. Like, my origin was my parents creating me. Like, what's before that? Like, well, where'd your parents go? Like, but that's not my origin. That's theirs. I was like, I don't know. It's getting weird. But I don't know, because if you say Arab, it's like, it's very weird because, like, there's so many different kinds of people in the Middle East. So I think the better term is Middle Eastern.
Okay.
I don't know if it's Arab. I don't really know. But everybody just says Arab anyways. Like, oh, he's an Arab person. It's like, it's weird because the Arabs in, United Arab Emirates, or the Arabs in like Yemen, or the Arabs in like Lebanon, or the Arabs in Saudi, they're all just different. They're completely different people. But the sad part is they all come from that same bloodline.
Yeah.
Same region. It's very weird.
You know, what's weird too is, just a couple of years ago, I learned that the word Oriental was a derogatory term. But in history class, in America, they deemed like Asians and Middle Eastern as Oriental.
Wait. Oriental is a derogatory term?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I know.
Term.
I know.
What's the proper term? I've been saying that for a long time.
It's all good.
Oh, God.
No, well, it's just better for us. I think it's safer to say Asian American. But now, even now, I'm like struggling because if you're not Asian American, you're just Asian.
Yeah, but isn't that like bother you because you're Chinese?
Yeah.
I want to be known as where specifically I am, because then what if you have a bunch of people from, I'm trying to think of a place that would give a bad example. So like, I don't know, somewhere from parts of like Malaysia, right? Like Malaysia is known for two things in this world. It's known for factories, for all outsourcing, and it's known for a lot of tech support, right? Last thing you want to be known as is, you know, like, oh, I'm Asian, the person, and then you get somebody who has less intelligence, and they just look at you and go, oh, yeah, they think of like Malaysians. Like,
oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, or they think of like a Cambodian, or they think of somebody who's different than you. Oh, yeah, you're Asian. That in their head, they're thinking of somebody they saw on TV, but they're not thinking of China specifically. Chinese. Yeah. And even Chinese. You guys have, I don't know what you guys are doing over there. Like, is it like Shanghai or like Hong Kong? One of them broke off and it's like their own independent.
Hong Kong.
You guys are just on something different. I don't know what's going on over there.
I don't know. It's literally a different world over there. I try to keep up, and like just hearing about certain things, like, you know, the Black Plague is back. It escaped Mongolia. I don't know if you know about that.
I heard there was one case in somebody got the where was it? It was like 2 cases or something, and they shut the whole city down or something.
I think it's somewhere in Mongolia.
It was on Snapchat news.
Yeah, Snapchat news.
Snapchat news.
Yeah, like
that's
there's
where you
that,
get the most reliable information.
For real.
Yeah, them and Andrew Schultz. Andrew Schultz.
He's
my go-to for politics, man. He just keeps it so real.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny that you say that, because like when you think of Asian Americans, like you said, most people and how social media portrays us is smart, intelligent, high income getters, you know, stuff like that. But I recently started to say more like I'm Chinese American, because like you said, I want to be more specific. And being when you have other subgroups that just falls under Asian American, which I just recently learned, you're actually masking people who are vulnerable, like the Laos community, the Cambodia community, because like they're not getting, you know, better as good of education as like a Chinese or Vietnamese American person is, or you know, their income is below poverty as
their countries are stagnant. Their countries are stagnant. They're not evolving into complete. They're staying between that third world to like emerging economy, but they're stagnant. They're just not. It's not getting anywhere. That's how the Middle East is. A lot of countries. Well, I mean, you can argue that they're not doing anything, or you could argue that they're just getting leveled by every other military in the world. But I mean, it's crazy, man. That's what I mean. You see how weird it is? Like, people will look and be like, oh, you're Arab? And the first thing they'll think about is like, either, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
Go ahead.
They'll be like, oh, Arab? They'll be like, probably just works in a gas station, probably works in a tobacco shop, 9/11, beard, Osama bin Laden, sand, desert. That's like their hotkey search for what pops up in their head when they think of Arab. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
like,
you know what? Not gonna lie, I'm guilty about that. And
no, it's okay. It's just weird. It's just bizarre to me.
It's so messed up, and like I'm trying to change that. Like, yeah. But it's working. I mean, we're having these kind of conversations, which is great.
This is changing it. This is what's making it different. People like this. Like, let me explain something. Doing this is amazing, right? Because one, I don't know if you guys have people come back on your show, because I've already been talking for like 20 minutes, and I'm already thinking about coming back. So if you do have people come back, it's fun, because I love these conversations. But this sparks stuff, because have you guys ever been to China before?
Nah.
I have not.
Right. So what happens if, okay, well, hang on. It's 2020 and, you know, all the world crap. So maybe that's not the best place to go right now, but maybe down the road, it only takes this kind of conversation. Like, one day you guys are going to go to China or something, like plan a trip or something. And you don't know who you're going to spark. Like, for me, example, if you guys were going to go to China, right? You were going to say, you know, hey, we're going to go to China or something like that. I would say, you know, hey, you guys are going to go. You guys are like my ticket in, because you guys are Chinese. It's like if I was ever going to go back to like somewhere in the Middle East. I've been to Palestine before, but let's say I was going to go back somewhere else, like Dubai, or go back to, you know, a different country, or you know, God forbid I go to Israel, everybody hates me. But, you know, let's say I go back there. You guys are going to say, hey, I kind of want to try. I want to see that. I want to experience that. But it's tough to go alone, because you're not from Middle Eastern descent. So you're just going to be staring around like, well, what do we eat? Like, what's the food? Like, what? So, you know, it's cool. These things spark things, and it's awesome. You never know what's going to happen. But I've been trying to go to China for a long time, actually. I've been trying to go to Shanghai. It's like one of those, like, I don't know, they have all these cities that have like all these skyscrapers and stuff, and all these amazing, like all these amazing places, but like I heard they're like abandoned. I heard they're building all these huge cities, but they're like abandoned and stuff.
So that's not Shanghai per se. That's not Shanghai. That's further out in like not like the rural area, but like there's been a lot of rapid development in terms of like they have this one. It's really weird, but like they have this one little city where it's like a mini world, right? They have. No, they literally have a city.
The Halo ring?
No. It's not a Halo ring. It's like it has like the Eiffel Tower there. It has like it has Big Ben. It has like a lot of iconic buildings. Yeah. I forget the city name.
Cool. Is it Kowloon?
No. Kowloon's is long gone from Hong Kong, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I thought that's what you were talking about.
No.
Like there's an Eiffel Tower in Kowloon City?
No, not Kowloon. I can't remember the city's name off the top of my head, but yeah, they have like all these like historical, or not historical, but like well-known buildings around the world, and they're all miniature versions of it in this one city.
That's cool.
But the problem with that city, though, right? It's like it's not populated.
Yeah.
So like the people that do live there is like one in a few, so it always looks like a ghost town.
Yeah, that's what I saw a YouTube video on that, and they were talking about it, and they were saying like the better term that you used was rapid development. I guess they're building so fast that I don't know how they did it, but they overbuilt before the job market or economy can get to it. They built it before the job market even hit. So like, great, we have all these businesses for, we have lots of service and stuff and product, but we don't have any actual like job market here. So like, what do you even do when you get there? It's tough it's weird, but I saw that and I was like, man, I really got to get, like, I want to see so much of China. There's so many things I want to see out there, but same thing with Japan. I've been trying to get there for forever, but Corona just ruined everything.
Literally, the pandemic is, man. Speaking of which, how have you been holding up like throughout this pandemic? Like, what's changed for you? Like, what happened with you?
I love asking people this question. So it's been nuts, man. I had 3 trips planned this year, and 2 of the 3 got canceled, which sucks. You get your money back, which is cool, but like, you kind of waited for that, Like, we're supposed to do this Italy trip, right? And you can only do it like once a year when it's not stupid expensive. Like, there's a really good price range, which is you got to do it like midsummer because it's a little hotter. The whole trip got canceled because you can't leave the country. You actually can't leave the country right now. Like, it's still border ban. So the trips got canceled, which was kind of like a first world problem for me. Like, oh no, my vacation. But on top of that, it's the whole, is it real? Is it not? That was the first couple weeks. First couple weeks for me was, is it real? Is it not? I have to be careful. So I kind of just didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stay at home, watch anime all day. Like,
hey.
Yeah, like I completed 7 anime this summer alone.
That's awesome.
I rewatched Bleach. I rewatched all 360.
Bro.
Yeah, I rewatched the whole thing.
Dude, that's a lifetime of watching right there, dude.
It was amazing, though. It was amazing. It is so much better when you're not a kid. Because I was a kid when I came out. Yeah. I didn't really get a lot of the stuff, and I didn't get the meaning, but I watched it as an adult, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's deep.
It's deep. It's amazing. Like, I'm so tempted to buy, like, a giant Ichigo fat head and just... But no,
That'd be sick.
Yeah, right? I watched a lot of anime, and, I stayed inside, and then the first month went by. And I'm like, okay, I got to get the hell out. Like, I got to get the hell out of this house because I'm losing my mind. Like, there was no gym. So, I work out all the time. There's no gym.
I feel you on that one, man.
No gym. Do you know how empty your life is when you can't? You know what it is? And you could argue this is first world problem or not, but tell me how empty your life is when you wake up, okay, you work, okay, and it's work from home. I've been working from home for like the last 6 years. I work in IT, so it didn't really change for me, but when you finish at 5 and you realize you have nothing to get ready for. I can't go take a shower and change to go eat out with my friends. I can't go just change my clothes and get ready and go to the gym. I can't drive my car because there's nowhere to go. Fast food places have limited stuff. Most of the stuff I barely eat anyways, but like freaking McDonald's, they got rid of like all of their like breakfast menu stuff. So like, and that's
really?
Yeah, they got rid of their bagel and like they got rid of all their bagels, right? And that's like the only thing I like from there. Well, there's that for me.
It ruined you.
I had nowhere to go. I had nothing to do, and you just realize kind of how empty you really are when there's nothing to do. I'm like, I literally didn't know what to do.
Did you have an identity crisis?
What do you mean?
Like after realizing, like, holy shit, without all these things, what am I? Who am I?
I kind of not necessarily identity crisis, but well, maybe you're just using a different term that I'm thinking of. But yeah,
probably.
Ultimately, yeah, I did kind of change a bit. I was like, okay, I got to find something to do. So I started thinking of all the things that I like. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this because it's closed. I can't do this because it's closed. I'm like, okay, I need to like new things. So I started liking different things. Like, I started playing like a little bit more with like my engines on my cars. So like, I've always been a huge car buff, but I never actually started to work on the engine. So I started working on my cars, right? I'm like, let's tamper around with it. Started easy, changing intakes and stuff, and then got deeper into the manifold. So I spent a lot of time on that, but ultimately, there's not much you can do, and it's tough when you can't go anywhere, see anything. Museums are closed. I like to smoke hookah on the weekends. Closed. You could try to buy it on your own, but a lot of tobacco shops closed because they couldn't support. It's just weird, man. The economic failure that combined with the pandemic took things too far, because not only was it a safety hazard to go anywhere, but they shut almost everything down anyways. So you just lost access. It kind of felt like we lived overseas for a little bit. No access to really anything. It was very weird.
Yeah.
I guess I did kind of have a identity check. I just you realize how many things that you actually do and how many things because of what you have access to. Like, think about it. We have access to a car. Like, it's the norm to have your own car here. Actually, it's the norm to have like 2 or 3 cars in this country. Like, this country is all about like having a lot of stuff and having the chance and opportunity to do a lot of stuff. And most of that is triggered through your car keys. Because I don't live in the city. God helped people who lived in the city. Everything was shut down in the city. Everything. You couldn't even walk in the city.
Yeah, I know. Man, it's like I was tempted to go into the woods and just build some stuff.
You couldn't do that either.
Man,
I take my bike to the trails. They shut the trails down. Willow Springs Trails over here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the South Side. Willow Springs Trails. It's called Bullfrog Lake, and like a camping ground. They've got 55 miles of bike trails, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and they're mountain bike trails. So if you don't have like a proper bike, you're gonna wreck yourself. But they shut them all down for no reason. Oh, you'll spread COVID in riding your bike past somebody for the blink of an eye that you cross them. Like, what? All the trails down.
So you see, that's really interesting. That's really interesting that like they shut all that stuff down. Because I remember like the very first week of COVID, like when we were forced into a shutdown. Okay, I was like, shit, all the gyms are closed. What am I gonna do? Right? Like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go out for a run. Yes. I go out for a run, right, and right next to my place, I got like a pretty long trail too, right? It's like I want to say close to like 4-ish miles.
Okay.
And it was jam packed. It was like it felt like you were at a shopping mall. That's how full it was of people just walking.
Yeah, that was the push. I agree with everything that you're probably about to say. What was the point of pushing everybody to go outside and then shutting all the parks down? Like, what?
Yeah. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Because like,
did you go downtown?
No, I didn't go downtown.
Lakeshore was shut down for like the whole trip. And what's funny is I still went down there anyways. We just took our bikes and you guys know where the planetarium is? Mm-hmm. You know where where the planetarium is? There's that like highway part, not a highway, but it's Lakeshore. You're driving on Lakeshore, around, on the outer side of the city. We legit parked our cars at Lincoln Park Zoo. Okay. Lincoln Park shut down. Lincoln Park, all the parks around Lincoln Park Zoo shut down. Lakeshore shut down. Everything shut down, right? So we're like, we might as well just go back. We don't have any other choice. And then I'm like, I got an idea. The cops are only here. Why don't we go to the planetarium and then we can go ride Lakeshore and there's nobody there. And that's what we did. And we were right. Because there's no entrances up by planetarium because they were all blocked off. They weren't expecting people to just take a bike and just hop over the highway barrier. And that's what we did. And then next thing you know, we were riding up and down Lakeshore for like 2 or 3 miles and we were chilling by the planetarium. And it was great. And then, at like 11 o'clock at night, the cops come by and it's like, hey, you can't be here. Oh, okay, see you later. And we just leave. but they shut it down the whole for no reason. Like, if you have a mask and you're walking on Lakeshore, how are you going to transfer it to somebody?
Right. It's the people that don't wear it.
You know, but if you're wearing it, you counter the person that doesn't wear it. So at the end of the day, as long as you're wearing it, and I get what you're saying. What if both people don't wear it?
Yeah.
Bring it, but I mean, just do a mandatory mask, man, and just keep Lakeshore open. I mean, they just shut the city down again.
I know.
It's getting crazy,
cases were going up, and I think what was the hardest part for me, because I'm in public health right now, and when I was in the hospitals, and then when I go out and I hear people say like, oh, it's not real, like people are faking. This is like early on, right? Super early. Like, oh, it's not.
You're in public health?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was I'm still a student, but when I worked at the hospital, I was doing like COVID floor sanitations and like vitals, all that bullshit. And when I come out of those things, you know, I see people hooked up to tubes, like they're dying, like they can't breathe. You know
why? Why are they hooked up to tubes though? They don't have any of their ailments or pre-existing conditions when they came in. Are they older? Like there was nothing affecting.
Most of them were older, and the reason, see, that's the thing. So I didn't have access to that information.
Okay.
But when I was on that floor, it literally said this guy is a COVID patient, and they're linked up. But you know what the thing is sometimes if they do have that, like you mentioned, the chronic conditions, right? Yeah. They already have trouble breathing. They have other like heart issues, lung issues, respiratory issues, and then COVID would just exacerbate it, right? And so that's why they're like hooked up. But yeah, when I was there. And then just hearing people saying like the symptoms aren't real, blah blah blah, like that was kind of like difficult for me to process, but because like I've seen it.
Because you're watching it, and it's like you want to just record it so bad, and be like, you still think it's not real, but you can't. And like, and it was so sad because we at one point we limited no visitors. The hospital said no visitors at all, and this daughter comes in and is like, I need to see my mom, she's dying, and then I had to say sorry. The hospital said I can't let you through, and that was the worst. Immediate family.
That was the worst thing ever. Like I never thought I would say I'm just doing my job. You know what I mean? That was so hurtful. And then
old was that? She was a kid.
She was probably in her 20s.
Oh, okay, but still, I thought it was yeah, that's still messed up because like, dude, that's even worse actually because her older then.
Yeah,
that's messed up.
And then the grandma or the mom was just like, you know what, fine. If she can't come up, then I'll come down. Even the administrators were like, nope, that can't happen.
That's insane.
So, yeah.
I got a huge, dude, I've been dying to get somebody on my show, but they can't talk about stuff because all the questions that I wanted to ask them were like, you have to be like up there in the hospital chain so stuff that I wanted to ask was, did you get to see any of the stipend paperwork or any of the agreements?
No.
Hell is this bullshit stipend? Because before I even get heated, I'm going to just jump into it. I'm not going to lie. This is a glorified, this is a huge, in my opinion, this is big to me. This thing is nowhere near capable or powerful than a common cold / the flu. And the fact that, you know, the world is, you know, getting destroyed over this thing, because internationally went under the rug. I remember, oh my God, Italy's dying, everyone's dying. But when you went back and looked at all the obituaries and the reports and everything, can't be released for further information. Then it finally gets released like towards the end of COVID. And it's like, everybody's like 60 plus years or older. Or they were people that were, you know, already diagnosed with pre-existing conditions. I'm like, but none of the younger people got it. Actually, in fact, most of the people in Italy only had either they were asymptomatic, can go to hell, whoever made that statement up. Was it Fauci or whatever? I don't even know. But I'm just going to say this. The symptoms are real. I believe it's a cold. I believe at the worst, it's a flu. And a flu is dangerous. A flu can kill you. It kills probably kills millions, honestly. H1N1 wrecked the world for a little bit. I mean, swine flu, it's real. This is a real communicable disease. So anyone says not real is an idiot. You just don't know what you're talking about. But the people that say there's no symptoms need to just understand that it's still a real thing. It's a cold, whatever. But the thing that kills me is they need to stop. Why is there a stipend if you die from COVID versus if you just didn't die at all? Or if you die from something else? Why is there a money stipend?
Are you talking about for like hospitals?
Yeah, the hospitals and all these private practices are getting,
for the money. Yeah, okay.
They're getting a stipend for that. What is that?
So what I learned was that the hospitals and private institutions, they get more money sent to them to fund their their like resources, right? Resources.
Yeah, right.
If they say that this person died due to COVID, because that like triggers something that's to whoever's funding them, like saying, oh, okay, so these people are dealing with COVID, they need money, they need resources. If that makes sense.
Why is it a money stipend?
I don't know.
They're not doing it. So that's the thing. So, and remember, this is me being like, I'm
probably staff or hazard pay.
My background, yeah. My background, just so everybody's aware that I'm not some expert on this. I work for an IT firm, right? So I'm a systems engineer. I have no knowledge of the medical field other than the things that I talk to people about, look up, try to figure out. So from my perspective, why the hell is the money stipend a cash stipend? For two reasons. One, why are they receiving any funding to prepare and not just getting supplies? I could see if they're getting supplies, hey, more treatment stuff like, what is it? Lung capacitors, more adrenaline, more morphine, whatever they're getting, whatever they use to immediately help people on the spot to open up their lungs, whatever. The second thing is, why would you fund somebody with cash and give them, an actual money stipend because they're affected, almost as if you believe that they're going to conduct their own research to look for a vaccine? Like, that's not how it works. You have to be an independent lab or like a pharmaceutical lab to perform conductive research, and you have to be like notarized by the government to do it. So why the hell are private institutions and hospitals getting a stipend for this? Shouldn't that money just be going to the actual, like, it's so weird to me. Like,
yeah,
what, like, it's just funny that I just find it funny that when H1N1 and everything else happened, the same protocols didn't happen. Did you notice that? The economy didn't die. There was no money stipending. My buddy who broke his arm in a hockey accident, like not like a, not a hairline, but it was a clean break or whatever. He had a clean break in his arm. So he goes to the hospital, and the dude is, recovering. They go through surgery. They give him his big cast and everything. They put him in the little arm sling.
Mm-hmm.
As they're preparing him for his like outpatient, I think it's called, when you're like your last couple days or your last day in the hospital or something. They're like, oh, we need to actually keep you here because you tested positive for COVID. He's like, what? He's like, okay. He's like, but I'm not sick. And they're like, oh, no, it's not about that. They're like, you could be asymptomatic. And he's like, okay, that's great. I'm going to leave. Like, well, no. You have like 8%. We have 8% COVID match. When he was texting us this, in my head, I'm just like, what does that even mean? Like,
was he able to see the results?
Yeah, they send you that. I mean, I even have like my results. Like send you like what is it? It'll say like tested. It has like detection of different stuff, and it says negative or no trace found. So I have like all the weird paperwork. Yeah. Usually you expect to just get a positive or a negative, but I just don't understand that. They told them like, and then they told somebody else on the news, on Snapchat news, that they had 1% COVID, so they had to keep them in the hospital. I don't get where. Did you hear about any of this stuff? Like,
I did not hear anything about that.
I have never heard of this.
Yeah,
this is the first time I'm hearing that.
It's crazy. It's nuts. They kept him in the hospital for 2 days. His bill exploded, and luckily he had insurance. I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, like, please, there's so many red flags. How do people not?
Yeah. So did he even consent to like a COVID test?
Yeah. So when you go into the hospital or whatever, they do the nose one.
Yeah.
Where they,
wait. So but he went there for a cast, no?
Well, he went there because his arm broke, but they did COVID testing at the hospital because it's like mandatory COVID testing. Because if he's sick, so like I don't know which hospital you work at, or like
I was at Swedish.
I don't know. This is an ER room, so maybe it's different because he broke.
It's to prevent the spread in case he does have it. It's for like precautionary measures.
Like I said, we don't know the full details because he broke and went to the hospital, and then he was texting us like stuff throughout the day. But like, I'm assuming when he got there, they said it's mandatory COVID testing, so they shoved that thing up his nose. So I don't know if they consented. I didn't actually ask him that. I don't know if he signed anything. I'd imagine not, because he's sitting there like, oh my God, my arm's broken, and he's on a stretcher. Hey, sign this. Like, I think they just said it's mandatory, and they shoved the stuff up your nose, and then they tell you what your results are. Like, maybe that's why it took so long after the surgery and everything, because doesn't it take, it takes, 2 to 4 days to get your results?
The results, yeah.
That's probably what it was. I gotta get him on the show. He's been interesting though. He's been telling us some weird stuff about the hospital though. Like,
and at the ER they charge you for each day, right?
Yes, but he has insurance. So like,
right.
So on your insurance card, it'll say like $100 or something for your deductible.
Yeah.
See that? Or like 200. So like you pay that to go to the ER, and then it covers what your ER is. And then they have to exit you out of ER and prepare you for like
Right.
inpatient, outpatient. Don't really
Right.
know how that works, but then your insurance, they have to verify your insurance while you're in the ER.
Yeah.
And that's what's so weird is they said that, oh yeah, we have to keep you here because you tested positive or something. And he's like, what? And they're like, it's just some bullshit, man. Just tired of it.
I'm sure there are some, malpractices in healthcare for sure. Like there are definitely some like healthcare professionals and hospitals and private institutions that's trying to take advantage of this pandemic and try to get the most out of it, right? Money, as you see. But yeah.
What do you guys think about it? Do you think it's like an actual global pandemic where there's like millions of lives at risk, or do you just think it's just another flu?
Personally, I think it's, I don't know how like similar it is to the like the flu per se, but like it's hard because while the virus itself is affecting like predominantly the older population, for children recently there's a new study now that's like Kawasaki disease and MIS-C is like multi-system inflammatory, so it's very rare for children. But the only way, and the symptoms of those are just like fevers, rashes, stomach pain, vomiting, stuff like that. And the only way to trigger that is if a kid gets an acute infection, and SARS-CoV-2 is considered an acute infection, right? So then if the kids get infected, they have a high chance of getting like Kawasaki disease or MIS-C. So there's that. And then when it comes to the elder population, like you said, they do have pre-existing conditions. And so when they get this virus and then it just exacerbates their symptoms, and then they more or less they're on their way to death, if they don't have the resource, if the hospitals can't, keep them on their lifeline or anything like that. So personally, okay, yes. So the virus is real in terms of global pandemic. I would agree it is a global pandemic. I don't know. I guess it's just because like just seeing all the news outlets of every country trying to deal with it, and then also my professor who works at global health and epidemiology, and just talking to her about it, and how there's constant research. And another thing is, I think because with social media and the internet, people aren't used to fast information. I mean, we're used to fast information, but when it comes to science and medicals, like new medical case studies.
No, you're right. No, you're right on your first statement. We are not used to fast information. This is what we did to ourselves. We raised ourselves, or we turned our society into, I need it now, I need it now, I need it. And we did it to ourselves. Look what happens when you give information. Everybody just jumps on it, triggers, puts out a bunch of crap, and the next thing you know, it
changes.
Yeah, it changes because nobody. Yeah, so you're right. Keep going.
Yeah. So like you were saying, and so when it comes to like medical studies, like, oh, new results. Oh, just kidding. It's not 6 feet apart. You actually need maybe even 20 feet apart.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then when people see that, they're like, oh, so the government's lying now. Like they keep changing the data on us, and like, no, bro. Like it's constantly evolving. We're constantly trying to figure it out. Like, yeah. That's my 2 cents.
No, that's awesome. How about Chris? What do you think?
Yeah. It kind of falls in line with like Vince, how like it's definitely I do agree it's definitely a pandemic, and I also agree that it is a global issue, and like the people that are getting affected are vast and not a few. Like the thing is, like a lot of these countries, right, like in Europe and across the globe, right, they have, in a sense, not really like eradicated the virus, but by any means, but like, they've gotten it to a point where it's like they've actually like flattened that curve, and they've actually brought the cases down to a certain point.
Are you talking about like New Zealand?
Yeah, but they also
New Zealand has like 50 people.
Yeah.
New Zealand has more animals than people.
That's true. But here's the other thing too, though, right? Like all around like Europe, or a lot of countries in Europe and a lot of Asian countries, like people willingly put on the mask, people willingly self-isolate, people willingly do anything, right, for the population, right, for the greater, in a sense, the greater good, if you will, right?
Right.
while America, like, granted, we're they're not saying everyone's like this, right? But there's people that are like, we are self-isolating. We are doing our part in a sense, but there's still that small percentage that one don't believe it's real, right? They think it's like a government hoax to like just oust everyone in a sense, and they also think that like people will go out and they'll, like, for instance, in Chicago, or like not Chicago, not really like a good example of this, but in California and in Florida, they had to shut down the beaches because people would be like, no, I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to go to the beach. I don't care what you say. I'm going to the beach.
The party island, the people that had the big party on the island for like 5 days or whatever, they said, screw you guys. And they had a huge party on their own island.
Yeah.
100 or something. It was like almost 200 people, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there.
Crazy.
And here's another one, right? Just to kind of like just throw it in there for like a lot of like the social media influencers, right? Like in California or something like that, like they had like this really big social media, like all these influencers like came to this one person's house to have like a party. I can't remember who, but a lot of them went to get tested afterwards, and a lot of them tested positive. I'm not sure if that's just being skewed. Yeah, it's like a lot of people are getting tested positive.
No, what you said is crazy, though. I mean, this is the first time I've actually had a chance to talk about this because the other countries, it's crazy how the rest of the world kind of treats this, right? And you can't. It's fact how they do it because they don't have as many media outlets as we do. The rest of the world has one or two mainstream. You know what's funny is the rest of the world kind of has like the world news, but for some reason we only have our local domestic news. You notice that?
Yeah.
You guys have left the country before, right? You guys have been other places. Like
I have not left the country.
You've never left the country yet?
I have not.
I've been to Canada.
That's cool. Hey, that's cool.
Canada, like I was like 6 or 7, but like that
counts, bro. That counts. Come on.
I was 6 or 7, dude. I don't know any better, dude. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going on a road trip to freaking Canada. It's like, oh yeah, it's still part of North America.
Sitting there 6 years old.
I never left the continent. Okay, I never left the continent.
Okay. But yeah, no, my grandparents would have like Chinese channels, and on the Chinese channels they would have world news.
You have world news, right? And I've been to, and it's huge. I've been to several countries, and oh my god, I mean, I was even in Brazil, right? I was just there last year, and it's world news, right? It's kind of like they have their local stations, which are only like the little town stuff, but like they're not advanced enough to have like. When you're in like Brazil, or you're in like Dubai, or you're in like where else have I been? I've been to like Israel. When you're in these countries, right, and you turn on their local news, it's nothing like ours. It's not, oh, tonight at 9-year-old gets killed at park, or they talk about all the deaths and then they end it at the last minute with man wins the lottery. What did he spend it on? It's nothing like that. They don't have that like first world ability. They don't have that opportunity, right? So when Chris was saying, everybody wanted to put the masks on, that's like 3 huge critical things. All the other countries outside of this one like to have that culture bind, and they like to stay within their bloodline. They like to have the same family. Everybody is almost, in a sense, almost actually family. They're treated as, as one big family because they like to stay within the bloodlines. They're close. Everybody looks the same. You go to a Middle Eastern country, or a Middle Eastern country. You go to Palestine or whatever, it's Palestinians marrying Palestinians, and the bloodline is the same. Everybody looks the same. Everybody acts the same. You don't get as much disease. You don't get as much outbreak. You don't get as much bad things because everybody has near identical genetics. But you come to a country like, U.S. or even Great Britain, right? UK, or you go somewhere like even, I guess Dubai is kind of becoming this now, but you go to these flashy countries, we're just pugs, man. We have so much freedom and opportunity here. It's ridiculous. We can do whatever we want, whenever we want. And we have too many media outlets. And it's like, we're a million different cultures. We have a ton of different genetic lines. Everything is different here. We're susceptible to everything. We're not as close as we are with each other here because we're too busy all trying to be different. Everybody wants to either dress different, listen to different music. Everybody wants to be a different thing here. We all want to. The only thing we have in common here is everybody wants money. Everybody wants to get rich, but it's crazy. you get so many people that don't want to wear masks and don't believe like, oh, the government's, scamming us, this and that. Is it our fault? Or is it that we have like 100 media outlets that all keep twisting the story and jumping the gun? They keep telling us different stuff. And then you get people that are, because they have freedom, because we have freedom of speech here. Mm-hmm. It's not like if you go to like, Jordan or something where, or like a country that has a king or a prince, like usually the Middle East. It's not like that where you go out there and like, oh yeah, the king sucks, the prince sucks. No, you'll just end up in an embassy in Turkey, grinded up and flushed down a toilet. So,
oh God.
Right? So
let's not go there, okay? Let's not go there.
You can't do these things in other countries.
Yeah.
Attempt it, but nobody does.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody is part of that linear aspect. And so here it's just
and that's another thing you mentioned, because like here in America, they're like, if you use that example, they're gonna be like, yeah, why would I want to be afraid of my government? Right?
We are just a fucked up circle here. Like oh man.
Here's like what I think about that though. It's like, yes, we have freedom of speech. Yes, we have, the free will. Every human being has free will. Okay. We're all able to do whatever we please. We're all able to do whatever we want. Okay. That is number one, like without a doubt, we're able to do that, But here's the thing with like all these other countries, right? Like, yeah, everyone knows they have their own independence and their own free will to do this and do that. If they don't want to wear a mask, what they'll do is they'll just stay in for the rest of the day, right? Or whatever it may be. But they choose to focus on the bigger picture, which is protecting, like, their people, right? While America, like, we are so, like, I'm American, I'll say it, right? We're so self-absorbed in our own lives that it's like, we are, like, granted, everyone's the main character of their story, but everyone wants to believe that they are the only main character of this story, that
or only their story exists, because
exactly
like all we give, like everybody keeps saying I don't care about this. Like, it's just like you said, it's just like self-absorbed, man.
Yeah, and it's because of this self-absorbedness, right, that everyone feels like, oh, you're violating my rights, you're turning into a communist regime that's taking away our rights to free will and free speech. It's like, yeah, we're going to like the fascist country and stuff like that. It's like, no, you still have free speech. You still have anything that you want to do, you can do. You still can post whatever you want to say on social media. You can still say it in person and in my face. All we do is just ask that you put on a mask just for the betterment of the country, so we can potentially bring the risk of infections down.
We're at 5 million now.
Yeah. And it's estimated it's going to hit, like, I think they said 10 before the end of the year.
I'm okay with that, though, because H1N1, 71 million people. So, I mean, I don't really care about the numbers for this one, because it's been 5 months now since it's like...
Was there a cure or something or vaccine for H1N1, though?
Well, H1's a flu. So it's a vaccine, it's just it's a vaccine that you get. And
Russia made one for COVID, apparently.
yeah. There was a really funny meme about that. It was.
Is it that when he changes his language?
I think so. It was the one where it's like Russia creates. It's the new thing that they're doing now. The new meme with Leonardo DiCaprio from Django Unchained, where he sits and he has the mustache laughing with the drink. It was Russia creates vaccine. And then it's like a picture like Chinese government with 30 other weaponized like things. And then it's everyone just laughing. And I'm like,
oh my God.
I don't know why people look, if it ends up being an actual conspiracy, if it ends up being an actual thing where, like, don't listen, I'm not Alex Jones, so please. But if it ends up being an actual conspiracy where they did try to use a bioweapon and it was, whether it was an accident or a test, whatever. Okay, great. I was wrong. You guys can take me down the street like Cersei from Game of Thrones, spit on me, strip me. I'm like, I don't care. You can kill me at that point. But if it wasn't, and it is just the flu, then my God, we are going to look like such a stupid, like, humanity is going to take an intelligence loss. Like,
humanity.
It's just overall, like, I can see the global awareness, but
you know what I think? Like, this is my, like, in a sense, like, like, this is like my higher being like thoughts, right? Like, granted, everyone that has their religion, by all means, you're free to have your religious beliefs. That's fine with me. I'm not against it. I'm all for it. But me personally, like, I'm not really like super religious by any means, and like I have this theory that or not like a theory, but like my thought is like how we examine petri dishes in like science labs and everything like that.
Yeah.
We are that petri dish that this one extraterrestrial race is like looking at right now and examining. They're like, dude, these guys are so stupid.
No, I feel that. There's that. That's the same theory as that person that explained that like water drop thing or something. We're one raindrop or something like that. Or
something like that. I don't remember.
Our whole, I don't know. That's crazy though. If that's how it ends up being, man.
Let's make another twist. Think about it like Bleach. The sky rips open. Some guys walk out through the sky.
Oh God!
Listen,
they're like, you guys have failed.
They discover Soul Reapers. Oh my God! If there's another dimension, like
Cove is a Soul Reaper.
Give me my combat card. I am ready. Like,
Bankai.
Dude, Bankai. Oh my God, the love I have for that show, the love I have for anime, just blew up so much more through COVID because I got to go back and rewatch. I rewatched Code Geass. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
You guys aren't anime.
I am,
but I haven't watched that.
Okay, so Code Geass is crazy. Did you guys watch? Okay, wait. I'm just gonna name like a couple that I watched. Did you guys watch Death Note?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, rewatch Death Note on Netflix in all English dub. Absolute fire. Did you guys watch Attack on Titan?
Hell yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Attack on Titan. I rewatched the last season because I didn't want to watch the first season again because I already knew like it's still burned in my head from like last year or 2 years ago. So I want to rewatch the last one so I can be amped because
the fourth season
supposed to come out, but COVID delays. So I don't know. They're not releasing anything. I keep searching every day. Like my search history on my phone is nasty. It's literally like the last like 5 days is literally when is Attack on Titan coming out? Attack on Titan season 4. Like
so funny.
Find it because it's the end. It's the end.
Yeah.
Reading the manga. No. Their animation.
That's what I did.
No, don't ruin it, please. The animation.
No, I'm not gonna ruin it. But like for me,
because like, all my friends read the manga.
Yeah. So for me, right, it's because after the first season and after the year delay on the second season, I was like, all right, I don't know when it's gonna come out, and like I had to find out what's going on. So then I just read the entire thing.
Yeah, that's what all my friends did, and they were like, I'm not waiting a year. And you know what happened to me? I was gonna start, but then my thing is, I just watch another anime, and then watching that anime, I get absorbed into it, and then next thing you know, you don't even realize a year will go by, and like because you'll watch like 2 or 3. Like rewatching Bleach took me a month. It took me a month to watch 366 episodes plus.
I can't believe it took you a month to watch that. That would have taken me like at least like how long this like pandemic has been, dude.
All I'm gonna say is work from home. What? I don't know what you're talking about. I
watch from home.
Strictly watch from home. Strictly work 8 to 5. Now, being in IT, we get a lot of perks. So it's a job that you got to use your brain for. But most of the time, while you're trying to solve, I mean, I'm literally solving extremely complex things all the time. So it's not necessarily a grind. It's more of like a log in, take a look at some of these complicated issues on the environments, and then, dive into one. And the next 3 hours, I'm trying to resolve a huge infrastructure problem or like a security leak or something. Mm-hmm. It's usually something dumb, like some app server will be somewhere and, it's not secure. There's too many loopholes, or there's a threshold that allows certain scripts to be run. There's a lot of little loopholes, port numbers, and you can't just make that change, because if you change like a port number and shut off like ports and stuff, you might kill off like the vendor's connectivity using that port number to get in stuff. Very techie stuff, but it takes you a couple hours to figure these things out. And so, I'm usually sitting here kind of just fidget spinner, or like I'll be working on other stuff, honestly. I'll be doing other things, and then it's like, oh my God, like, in the show House, he just gets it. It's like, oh, and then, your brain starts connecting, and then you kind of figure it out, and then bam, just move on to the next problem. But I watch a ton of anime during like...
Do you have a favorite besides Bleach?
What was that?
Do you have a favorite besides Bleach?
So my favorite anime of all time is probably going to be between Death Note and Naruto. But Naruto is tough because there's too much bias that it was like the first big AAA anime that I ever saw. Because I started in 97. Because I was, what was I? I was like 7, 6. So that was like my first one. Because Dragon Ball Z was cool. But like, you don't understand it when you're a kid. Like Dragon Ball Z makes no sense when you're a kid. Because like,
it doesn't.
You don't know what's happening.
It still doesn't for me.
You're just waiting for the fighting. But like, there's like 80 episodes of standing and talking, and then they fight for about 3 seconds. So it was like, Dragon Ball Z is awesome, and I love it. And it's one of my top 5. But my top 2 fall between Death Note and Naruto, and it's just Death Note is one of those anime where
it was so well done.
It's just it's a masterpiece. It's a very long, elaborated story with multiple like plot twists and turns and character development. It's amazing.
Bro, the craziest thing for me for Death Note was when he he erased his memory only to and he set it up so that he would remember.
What I know what you're talking about. This is after he kills L. Oh yeah. Spoiler alert. What?
It's fine. It's old. It's an old anime.
Some people. Do you know how many people? Okay, so growing up in high school, right? I started watching anime back in when I was like 8, 9. So growing up in high school, I would go around, telling people oh, did you ever watch the show? And they're like, no, I don't watch cartoons. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like, you should watch it. It's a great show. And then I'm in like the 1% of the crowd that doesn't.
Now it's mainstream.
Nobody wanted to watch it. Nobody wanted to admit that they watched it, and it's so.
I was actually going to bring that up because
nobody wanted to admit it.
No, just like you, right? Like all throughout, elementary school and everything like that. I was the one that would come to school with not like an actual storybook, but I would come in with a manga and everything like that. Yeah, and I'd be reading manga, during downtime, and everyone would be like, what are you reading cartoons for, man? You're like, and they're just trying to make fun of me and everything. I'm like, you can do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do. Right. And then fast forward 20 years, dude. It's like,
and now everybody's on it. Isn't that funny? Do you guys bump into people that you never expect would watch it, and then you just bring up the conversation one day I swear to God, Death Note is usually that trigger. I swear to God, people, it's Netflix. I really like what Netflix is doing because they took on the whole anime scene. They're exposing it to people who don't know what it is, and it's great. I can talk about anime with a group of anybody. I don't care who you are or what. We can be completely different people. And the minute anime comes up, it's just ridiculous because it's always fun to see what somebody else thinks of who their favorite kid. There's so many questions. Oh my God.
Yeah. Just the other day I had my coworker, she just started watching anime, and her first anime was Food Wars. And so she was like, is all anime this jokey, funny? I'm like, no, there's different genres. There's dark, there's action, killing, murder, mystery.
Food Wars is also really edgy though.
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
I never watched it.
I've never seen that one.
It's a really good one if you're into food, but it's also on the really edgy side, meaning it's really, they lead you on really hard, but through food.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's not One Piece. One Piece is just filler. It's just filler. I don't know if you guys watch One Piece at all.
I heard about the ending.
Well, wait, which depends what you mean by ending.
Wait, is it still ongoing?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because I was gonna say depends what you mean by ending. Because
oh crap, I don't know. I want to bring it up, but I don't know if I'm wrong.
No. Wait. Don't say anything again. So One Piece, they started coming out, right, and it was a great anime. It was really cool because I'm really big on the pirate era and stuff like that. But then the animator came out. I don't know why he did this, but he came out in the first 100 episodes, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my goal is to hit 1,000 episodes," and everybody's like, "What?" And at that time when he announced it, the manga was in the 500s. So it's one of the longest running anime before it even became animated yet. So then he just announced that his manga will exceed 2,000 episodes if they continue going.
God damn.
And the Waco arc, which is the current arc that they're on, it's called Waco arc, where Luffy's versing Kaido, this 3 million foot tall guy. But that arc is only at 917 right now, or 920. And I'm just I've been following this since Toonami used to be on TV.
Toonami, bro.
Yeah, and I'm just I'm gonna die before this anime ends.
Generation Z is what's Toonami?
Dude, Generation Z is what's a TV? You don't just everything from your PC, your $12 million computer.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
No, yeah. I think Toonami was one of the it was one of the breaking points in which it broke anime to Western culture. But I remember like watching like before Toonami started showing anime, right? It was like really like all bootleg. You know, it was like that's how I got my anime. You know, like that's how I got my Sailor Moon back in like the early 90s. Yep. That's how I got like I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but like Macross.
No.
So it's like a tech, or it's not tech. It's a mecha anime. So it's like a sci-fi anime, everything like that.
Oh, okay. I've seen Gundam. I've seen a few Gundams.
Yeah. So I've seen like a few of the older Gundams, like the 0058 and stuff like that, and it was like all these old school ones that I was watching before they really made a impact into the Western market. And then when they did, I was like, oh my God, I was just getting flashbacks to like 5 years ago. You know, it was
that's how I felt. I mean, just this summer, first couple of weeks of COVID, I started watching Gurren Lagann.
Yo, that's a good one.
Dude, I was watching Gurren Lagann, and I'm like, why don't I remember any of this? I'm like, I can't remember this.
I might have to rewatch it too.
Yeah, you got to rewatch it because I'm telling you, the first half you don't remember because the show doesn't actually affect you like personally until, another spoiler, until they kill off what's his name?
I can't remember. Come again?
I can't remember his name.
But the boss guy. The boss.
I can't remember his name. I
can't remember his name either.
I always forget his name. The names in that show are ridiculous, but they killed him off. And when he dies, you just like, that was my favorite character. Like, it sucked too because they kind of stripped you of that character. Like, they built you up and they gave him such good character development. They made him just like cocky, arrogant, but he's got like a little bit of deepness to him. And he starts to develop like when they like break out, and he starts to develop like real well. And like, he starts to open up like, this is going to be great. And then they kill him. And I'm just like, no. That's the character that I like attached to this anime. Like, why?
Dude.
Skip happens and like you just, oh man, it's such a crazy.
Have you seen Kill la Kill?
No.
Or Kill a Kagami Kill or something like that?
Agami got killed?
Yeah.
No. Is that a good one?
If you're into the kind of like the crazy twists.
Oh, yeah, okay. What? Yeah, okay. What's this one called? I'm gonna write I have this list. What's this one called?
Agami got killed. It's a good one. I'm not sure about Kill la Kill. I'm not sure if that one's kind of like...
I think I was talking about yours. I don't think I was talking about Kill la Kill. Yeah, but the Akagami got killed. Oh my God, that twist fucked me up.
Oh man, now I'm gonna start this right after JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That show is so fucked up. It's ridiculous. I'm on season 2.
Mm-hmm.
The most. Have you guys seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventures?
I just know it's funny as hell.
Please.
I watched one episode and I was like, I can't. This is like it was over the top.
I know. I said the same thing. Listen. Oh God. I need to like just like breathe.
You need a breather.
It is so mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
You literally start the anime and it's like completely serious. Like very serious plotline. Like here we go. Like, and then all of a sudden the character starts talking and he's like this goofy British dork. And it's like, what? I cannot listen to this guy if he's gonna be, and then it gets like serious for a second. And then the fighting is just out of hand. The drawings get out of hand. Oh my God, it gets so crazy with the powers and the abilities and like.
If you like that, you should watch Gintama.
What's that called?
Gintama. It's just as goofy. There's so much shit happening in there. You're just like, what is going on?
But that's all. It's an anime that makes fun of
other animes.
Other anime.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So they just like they take all like the. Oh, okay, I gotta see that then. That's
so it's kind of like an anime where it's like it's based on like reality, like so basically like you and me in a sense, right? And we're watching anime and we're just talking shit about it.
You guys watch One Punch Man?
No.
You guys didn't see it?
No, I did.
Oh, okay. One Punch Man is weird, man. It's funny, but like it's addictive because it's like
he's too powerful.
He's so weird. Listen. there's two things that I love about One Punch Man. The only reason I honestly continue watching it, I wait for the very every eighth episode when he hits the guy, kills his enemy in one shot. And the second thing I usually enjoy is how they draw his face. This dude's face, the way they did it was amazing. Like whenever he wants to be serious, full face, features, nose, everything. But then the rest of the time he's just a bean with eyes and no anything. And so you're just sure, it's just ridiculous, man. One Punch Man is.
Anime is great. Anime is a dope ass community. It connects everybody.
I definitely feel like it's like a gateway, right? Like it's definitely now an old but new way for people to kind of rekindle interactions with other people, because everyone will have their own opinions and their own thoughts on anime, and whichever show they talk about, it's gonna have different biases, right? And it's always gonna be a really interesting conversation that can get really heated or it can get really deep, and I think that's our saving grace in this messed up economy and messed up world right now that we're in.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me recently, who are your role models? And I'm like, I don't know if I could answer that because they're not real. And they're like, what? And I'm like, my core values in how I became a person, how I treat people, how I treat myself, how I talk, all of my development came from mostly anime. It's the core essentials. I love when they have a very intelligent character, and I don't care if he's good or bad. I don't care if his intentions are good or bad. It's the aspect of how that intelligent character kind of lives. And a lot of the core values, every anime is always never give up, stuff like that. But it's the way they do it.
Yeah.
Every TV show was never give up and do your thing and always believe in your dreams. And it's if they just did it the same way, you would just brush it off this is annoying. But anime just takes a different level, man. It's different.
Yeah. Like one of the things that you learn about is, if you're not careful, you're going to carry a burden. You don't want to ever be a burden to someone. And then obviously that's common sense. You don't want to do that. But the way anime does Cowboy Bebop, right? He just says, you're going to carry that weight. Just that single line.
Yeah.
And it sits with you.
It sits with you forever. And that's that's huge. Yeah. I love that. There's different lines that they stick to you, man. I mean, some of these characters are more than just a creation, because you see that character and it's something that's not even real, right? I can name a dozen characters, but you can just name anybody from, and it's not even from a real, they don't even exist. The realm that they live in, the guidelines to how the anime is set up and the rules and the way the whole thing is built, it's not even near reality, because they have powers or something, but it's disgusting how you could relate so much to that person and they're not even real. Yeah. And they even have human abilities, but you can relate to them. And I think that's where the character development comes in. And that's what makes them so good, because I could watch TV shows all day, like Game of Thrones. I watched all of Game of Thrones, and I know it ended really crappy, but the first 6 seasons were phenomenal. But it's like Game of Thrones. You watch all 6 seasons, and the two characters that have the best development are who? Jon Snow, and arguably you could technically say, what was her name? Amelia Clark. I don't remember what her name was. She had 35 names.
I think, yeah.
But you don't connect with them. Jon Snow is such an emerging character for 6 seasons. You watch this guy for 6 seasons change and become something, and you figure out everything about it, but you never really connect with him. I don't really. There's nothing it's cool, it's great, but I don't have a connection to him.
Yeah.
It's not like God, I can name a million characters. It's not like Ichigo from Bleach. You watch he's 15 years old, and even though I'm 27, when the show came out, I was almost roughly around his age, when I got to that point. But
I think I was yeah.
You could just relate to somebody like that, and it's crazy because Jon Snow is a more realistic character. He doesn't have powers or abilities or anything, and he's trying to save all these people and whatever, and he grows up. But you watch this kid and the way they develop his character, his morals, values, and everything that he goes through. I don't care if this dude's fighting hollows in a different dimension or using a sword that has magical abilities. I connect with that guy. And the things that he could say the same thing as Jon Snow, and I will take away more from it from him.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
100%.
Very weird. But that's what I like about it, man. It's the best thing.
It's crazy.
This show is great, man. You guys are, God, this is fire. I like that you have two hosts.
Huh?
I like that you guys have two hosts. You guys,
It's great. It's great to bounce off.
I need to start hiring.
There you go.
I can offer you airtime. I don't have any actual physical funds to pay you. I'll pay you in gum. Tried in layers.
Hey.
Oh my God. There we go.
Wait, speaking of which, when Chris mentioned like it's a crazy time, I just wanted to quickly go over like how did you process that explosion in Lebanon?
Oh
Yeah.
I talked about this in an episode coming up soon. I'll tell you this from my perspective. How I processed that was, and actually it's funny because my dad a lot of my family was from there. My dad was born there, so he came here when he was 9, right? How I processed that was pretty simple, actually. I just saw it as another step in to take down another Middle Eastern country.
Mm.
Don't have the history on that. A super fast version is there were 9 Arab kings. I think it was 9 or 8, I forgot. That basically all split off when it was a big empire. Okay, and they became their own. So King of Jordan, King of like Saudi, the King of, there's all these different kings or princes, right? And there were these 9 big Arab power countries. Instead of being one, because they all fought and had to divide power. Egypt was another one. They all kind of just, even though it's in Africa, they all kind of just split all their land and they split all their people and they said, we're different from you and we don't want to be you and we want to be our own, right? Very weird. Long story short, all those countries have been taken down systematically. Egypt had their country stripped of power, had all their people killed, they had a coup, all that stuff. Yemen was leveled and destroyed. Iraq, Kuwait, Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden, all these government figures from all these different countries, they were all basically tracked down, pinned down, and eradicated. And then we basically said, we freed your country, right? And when I say we, I mean the whole world. The whole world was a part of this, right? The UN was part of this. Long story short, I think that attack on Yemen simply just falls in the category of it's another attack. It's a chance, theoretically, if I have to go any deeper, theoretically, I think it's just an attack it's the takedown of Lebanon, and they're gonna strip them of their power, another invasion. Palestine is pretty much almost eradicated, so that'll be 100% Israel very soon, which sucks. Can't do anything about it. It's kind of got to let it just happen and see how the world changes, but that's what I mean, that explosion was nasty. And they tried to say it was fireworks. Like, they tried to say it was a chemical reaction. First, they tried to say it was a firework, like a firework shop that went off, that hit a chemical, like, facility or plant or something that created the explosion. And they tried to reverse it and say, no, the chemicals went off, and that's what blew up the fireworks, and that's what made the explosion. So everybody's confused. And then you go back and watch it again, and the heat wave generated from the explosion incinerated buildings. That's a classified bomb. I don't know how they got away with that. Like, you see how quiet it is, though? It fell under the rug in, like, one weekend.
Yeah.
People just kind of let it go already. I'm like, dude, people got incinerated in that.
But this is also, like, going back to, like, what we talked about, right? It's, like, the fast pace, right, of information, right? Like,
oh, yeah, 100%.
It comes in and goes. Like, we had a discussion about this last time too. It was in regards to kind of like what you call it, like in the beginning of 2020, right? Like how there was COVID and everything like that, kind of like just starting up around like December time and then carrying over to this year, as well as kind of like the whole protests on everything that's going on in like Hong Kong that's been going on for several months prior in 2019. And carrying
what were those protests, real quick, because I had no idea.
Yeah. So the protests were against the extradition bill that China was trying to implement onto Hong Kong. So the big overarching thing is that Hong Kong and China it's basically like there was an agreement that for the time being, for the next 100 years from when British released control of Hong Kong, it would be two governments. Oh no, it was two policies, one government, I believe, or the other way around. I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you, Vince?
No, I don't.
No, I just didn't know. My overall point was that's nobody. You see how, like, isn't it very funny that international news means nothing to us, but yet we talk about how we're all for like protecting the whole world?
Yeah.
the only country in the world that doesn't give a shit about international news.
Yeah, I know.
And also, like in the beginning of 2020, in the beginning of 2020, also, right? The government did a quote unquote precision airstrike on one of the high generals in Iran.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
it's like,
dude,
right under the rug.
Just I mean, it's funny that something like that. I usually, if I have to take a shot in the dark, I usually believe that it just didn't happen, or it was BS, or they bombed like somewhere in Afghanistan and just lied. Oh yeah, look, we got him. And the reason I say that is because Obama finished his presidency, his cabinet finished by passing that $38 billion we strip you of uranium deal, where they get like $38 billion a year for like the next couple of years, and we get all their uranium or something like that, or whatever it was, on top of like Israel getting that also like 34 billion or whatever. Those numbers could be switched. I can't remember which one. So when you see something like that, it's like, why would we bomb and try to kill somebody that we pay 38 billion? Like, it's not hard. It's like breach of contract. Like, why would we do that? And I don't know, man. It's very hard to believe in the news or politics because we never know. We just don't know the damn answers.
Yeah.
Just keep us speculating because they want us to all be so separated. Just like what you said earlier, when all the countries come together, not us, but all the other countries, they all want to put masks on to protect each other. They're all in the same loop. It doesn't matter if they're North Korea and they're all just being lied to, like when they lost in the 2014 World Cup and he lied and aired on TV that they won. And everybody was so happy and they celebrated even though they got knocked out in the preliminaries. Even if your media is fake, the whole country is on one linear path. They're all connected. They're all in the same mindset. Whereas here, we're just lied to so much and so much shade and there's so much stuff that makes no sense that we don't even, most of us don't even like each other. We don't even, like, we're all so separated here. Everywhere else is the same, but here,
the neighborhoods are segregated.
Everything's segregated.
Everything.
It's crazy. Like, it's just crazy, man. Like, you're segregated. I mean, everything from the music you listen to the color of your shoes. Oh, you only wear purple shoes? Oh, dude, well, we only wear red shoes. Like, we don't like you. Like, what? It's just crazy, man. I don't know. 2020 has been weird. Everything gets swept under the rug, dude.
Yeah, and I wish we had more time. We definitely took a deep dive in. It was amazing. We talked a lot about the Middle Eastern culture, our similarities, differences, and the pandemic, and all this crazy news stuff. And next time, for sure, Jake, we'll have you out again, and we'll take an even deeper dive because this was awesome. This is a great conversation.
Yeah. Gotta have you guys come on my show.
Oh hell yeah!
Definitely.
All we've had was shawarma in. So you remember that?
I was thinking about it. When you guys come on, we can perform the EatingCast ritual here, and we'll do it on like your terms, and then we'll just kind of run. Yeah, that's what we've been doing with a lot of people. So we'll have like the rituals and traditions that you guys do. But yeah, I'm all for it. This was amazing, man.
Hell yeah!
Conversation. You guys are awesome.
And last but not least, and you can use this as an anime platform. What is one last bit of life advice you would like to leave us?
Man, if I could say anything, in my very short time of 27 years, I think the one thing that I live by that I'd like people to know is if you have any ideas, or it doesn't matter how crazy or irrational they are, just try it. Just try it. Do what pops up on your head. I mean, I never thought in a million years I would run this podcast, right? I never thought about it. And, one day I'm, just doing my thing. I'm just, going on about my day. And I just decided, I'm going to do this. And look what it turned into. Like, I had no idea. I probably watched less podcasts than any other person on the planet. And I ended up just making my own, and it turned into something amazing. So, I mean, that's my advice, man. If you have an idea, I don't care how crazy it is, just try it. Just try it at the least. You never know what's going to happen. It's crazy. You never know what talents you have.
Yeah, 100%.
100.
And where can our listeners find you? What social medias you got? So
right now I'm only on Instagram. I just downloaded Linktree or something like that. So I'm going to start adding those in, but I'm only on Instagram platform. This is where you can find me. The handle is @RealTalkWithJake. Basically all of our content's there, and hopefully you guys actually invest the time to watch it. They're a bit lengthy, our episodes, but lots of twists and turns. You never know where we're gonna go. So
for sure, just like this one.
Yeah, this is fun.
All right,
really good, really good.
So to our viewers and listeners, you can also find us at TheEatingCast on all social platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Yes, tune in. We're always having interesting guests and interesting conversations. So you never know. Like Jake said, you never know what you find. What you listen here.
Check them out. These guys are awesome. These guys know what they're talking about, man.
Awesome. So again, Jake, we just want to thank you, for just kind of hopping on, taking a part of your day, which was originally supposed to be like an hour, just turned to 2 hours pretty much, but it was definitely a very fun conversation that we just had, and definitely look forward to seeing more of you on, on our channel, as well as kind of like, when that day is, when we can schedule out ours with yours,
Definitely. We'll work on it.
We'll definitely work on it.
All the time.
It was solid. And for our viewers and our listeners, we just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one. So take care and bye-bye.
Bye.